Today we're going to talk about Shroud's retirement and the hubbub it caused on Reddit, and how I personally would restructure C9 and how you would do that. So, first off, we're going to talk about Shroud. Why would you go off and talk about it on your stream? I don't know, but I mean, he goes done worse. I don't know, but he went off and talked about his stream a week or so ago that he was thinking about retirement. He said it could be like 3 months, a year, 2 years, how long you could keep playing. And honestly, at his level right now, the only reason I think he's really still on the team is because Stewie 2K must have looked up to these guys when he was grinding, trying to get to the top, and the managers don't want to kick him because he adds so much added financial support, whereas you can say to your sponsors, we have the biggest stream in CSGO, so when you sponsor us, we will make sure your brand is exposed. We will make sure people see on X person's stream HyperX, Asus, Zowie, whatever. You want to sell it, we got you. We have the highest numbers. And that's obviously going to be helpful because for sponsors, they're not probably that much into it. They just know esports. These are the people that 18 to 35-year-old males. That's who we want to sell our stuff to because those are the people who are going to give us the most money. So it's all a marketing ploy. So then they're going to look at numbers because that simplifies things. Numbers simplifies things. And they'll look at numbers, and guess what? Shroud's stream has numbers. So I feel like that's part of the reason why he's still on there. Now, should he be cut? Yes. In my opinion, and in the opinion of other people's, Thorin, Moses, those are some names that I think aren't exactly like hounding, chomping at the bit to get him off the team, but have said yes, his performances do not should not guarantee him a spot on that team. So, considering that, if you were to remove Shroud today, who should you replace him with? Now, I think something that C9 specifically lacks is an in-game leader. And in NA, there are 4 in-game leaders I would pick, and I would put them like in the order I'm going. I would pick them. There's Stanislaw, there's FNS, there's Daps, and there's Sean Gares. So now let's go through each one of these and see where they stack up, as in availability, tactics, how they're going to run the team, stuff like that. Now, Sean Gares, I'm going to start there because he had prior connections with the team, and I'm going to start with, this is not the greatest. I wouldn't choose this. I think he might be stuck a little bit. I don't know if he's really adapted much to the game since 2015, and more of that just saying I've heard Thorn make some comments, and he doesn't also seem to have the drive. He wanted to go back to Echo Fox, and that was somewhat of a failure. Yeah, that's a failure, flat out. Like, you go there and you get bodied in the E-League group stage season 2, just bodied, like it's bad. Then now you go to TSM Misfits. You're not looking for C9 Optic. Like, you could Sean Gares could probably ask Optic and go, hey, I'm looking out. Y'all want to buy me out? Let's do it. Let's go. Instead, he's just kind of sitting back on Misfits with trying to develop Sick and playing with some French players they imported. Like, what? So I don't think Sean Gares would be a great addition. I don't know if he still has the drive and he's just trying to get a paycheck or whatever. And that's where I guess he can teach them basics of Counter-Strike. Stanislaw is like a no-go. That guy left. He's in Liquid. I think he's happy in Liquid. I don't have any inside information. I'm just speculating. I guess like he could go anywhere, so he went to Liquid, so he's happy. I guess. I mean, they have a pretty sweet lineup. I think he should stick at it for a while. FNS, now, FNS could be an option. I heard somebody on Reddit. Number one thing I don't like about that, if I'm FNS, you look at that lineup and you go, this is an upgraded CLG from back in 2015, 2016-ish, when he was playing with them. Let's compare the lineups they have now. So right now they have Ricky instead of Hazed. Like, Hazed was always the person that I said, if you're going to cut anybody, you cut Hazed, because I felt like, yes, he is a serviceable player, but he's also an entry fragger. So he dedicated himself to that role, and that was good. That kept him alive, but I didn't feel like he had enough firepower to keep going. So I feel like Ricky does, and he can do that secondary op. I really like Ricky as that aggressive entry player that they have him playing as now. Ethan, Tarek was all over the place in performances, and Ethan had a decent, at their best performance at Star Ladder. And I think he's a developing star. Moses has said that he's a developing star. So I would keep him in the lineup. And Tarek, yes, no, we kind of knew, but like he would never really perform, and maybe that was somewhat of CLG's management or whatnot. But hey, if he wasn't working in CLG, he needed to work in CLG, and he didn't work there. And there may have been excuses, but he wasn't working there. He changed it, now he is, but he wasn't working there, so that's the point. So Ethan, and Ricky are upgrades of Hazed and Tarek. Kusta. Now, Kusta JDM, that might be a little bit of a downgrade, but I feel like they are rehabilitating Kusta, and maybe he won't pass JDM, but I think maybe he can get there someday. I really don't know, but maybe he can, and maybe he has that drive. I really don't know. I would love to say so. I'm a big Kusta fan, just like Moses, and I think him with FNS is a great move. And then you have two former members, FNS and Cutler, and I hope Cutler returns to his NA Crims form. I would love to see that, because I don't think we have enough of those type of players. And then FNS is, I think, stepping up and doing more than he ever used to. So I would leave FNS in there. Now, we've just went through 3 in-game leaders. Sean Gares, Stanislaw, not getting those. FNS, I mean, maybe it would work out, but if I was FNS, I would stay where I'm at. Maybe if they like doubled your salary, but that's about it. And I don't think Cloud9 would, or plus I know it'd cost a lot to get FNS out of CLG. Now you have one more choice, and that's Daps, and I think Daps would almost be the perfect person for Cloud9, as in he knows how to run a team, but like his mid rounds aren't that great. And what if we just had Stewie 2K? Well, okay, his mid rounds aren't that great, but if he could just run the team, let's say he just tells, okay, this round, Skadoodle, you're gonna peek here, and you're going to do this, then you're going to do this, then this, and this. And then he says, all right, Stewie, you kind of do your thing at this area of the map. You work it how you want to. You and Automatic, you just work it. And nothing, or another player, I mean, I would personally cut nothing, but nothing. You're going to work with me here, or you support Skadoodle, I'll support Stewie and Automatic, or you support Stewie and nothing. You support Stewie and Automatic, or I will support Skadoodle. So, also, we look at it, Daps has no reason to stay in the NRG. That's one of the most disappointing things. They tried out Marky, that didn't work. They tried out, they're working on Breezy, he's inconsistent, he hasn't blown up as some superstar. I would throw in the hat, wait till my contract is out. If you're going to replace Shroud with somebody, you replace him with Daps. Now, if I could keep rebuilding C9, I would cut nothing, because that man has changed his role. He's been inconsistent. As a person who should be a star, he is utterly disappointing. And I see no reason why you are on that team. As nothing, I don't see why nothing is on that team. Who I would replace him with? There are a couple options. Cutler might be one, but number one, he's rehabilitating, I feel like, trying to get back to a level because he in-game led, and then he dipped down, and then they had Hazed, and then that whole Haze, Subrosa, and Ethan, Kusta, Cutler lineup was, and then just bad. And then they have the now lineup, and I think it can go somewhere. I don't know where, but I think much better than the last lineup. So I wouldn't try Cutler. Hiko is out there. That is a possibility, but I don't think it's that big of a possibility, because I've heard they've had, like, when Hiko left, like, that was it for him and Cloud9. Now, in a professional state, I would try and say, okay, we messed up once. Let's see if we can repair this. As a C9 GM or whatever, I would say we've messed this up once. I want to see if I can repair this and keep going with Hiko. And so I would put Hiko for nothing and Daps for Shroud. And that's how I would run my team, especially with Shroud talking about this retirement and saying, oh, I'm going to leave maybe in the next 3 months, the next year, the next 2 years. When somebody's saying that, they might not, as in actions, not give as much, but psychologically, their mind might not be as into it when you first got on that team. I think in 10 years when Stewie 2K is playing, if he might not have as much fire than when he first started. That's just the truth. And so I think if you're looking at Shroud saying he's retiring and all that, if you want to say something and say, okay, we might actually have to make a roster change as Cloud9, I would go for a big ballsy play. I'd pick up Daps and replace Shroud, replace nothing, replace him with Daps and Hiko, and do the big ballsy play.